Hello and welcome back to the Keeper's Inc. I'm Dennis and today I'm going to be running a third tutorial in my mini-series to get players started in Space Engineers. Due to some comments on my last video that were made in my Discord and some information I got, it was suggested that the next thing I touch on is actually refining and assembling and the very basics of how to actually get started. So, without further ado, we're going to try that today. So, to touch the very first thing, let me actually get rid of these crappy tools. Because I give myself some better tools in order to assist with any welding and grinding we do. Just for the fact of making the video a little bit shorter. Apparently an hour is too long. But anyway, so for those that don't already know and haven't already worked it out, this upside down block is the refinery. The interface looks like something like this. And in order to drop some ore into it, we shall go and grab some from over here. So let's throw the drill on. And all I'm doing is left clicking with my drill on. Got a nice suit full of ore. And as you can see, all the ore is being dragged by the gravity this way. That's quite funny. If I put a collector there, it'd have probably collected most of that. Well, anyway. So once you've got some more in your inventory or in a ship, you can drag it over to the refinery. Let me just drag 1k of that, and you'll see it starts working and producing stuff into ingots. So the only thing notice your difference is that if you put stone in there, it will go to gravel, which is not technically an ingot, it's just a bag. You'll also get a bag of magnesium rather than ingots. Quite sure why that is, but that is the way it is. So we go and pick up these free-floating bits. Since they're actually here. Now if we go inside, I may put the switch back on for this. Space Engineers have been a little awkward today. Oh, I'm full. Well, that explains it. Okay, so assembly. You'll notice that the refinery, if I click on this button here, I can type in refinery or filter it via the working systems. You'll notice that the refinery has the ingots in it, and the assembler also has some ingots. And the ingot storage is at the top of this one and at the bottom of this one. So I can drag this across. But the assembler will change and pull stuff automatically. So you can do that. Let's see. So for making things, actually let me also show you. If you put the ore in a cargo box like so, you'll notice it's going to jump out of here. There it goes. If I type in REF, there it is, refining. It's already done most of it. Oh, and I held down W again. There we go, and all done. So now we got some metal refined and ready to go. So I don't need my old tools anymore. So I'm going to put them in there in the assembler. And one of the functions of the assembler is you can break things down. So let's talk about that first. So there's assembly mode and there's disassembly mode. Automatically, if you click something over here while it's in disassembly mode, it will try and look for that in the inventories. So I'll do some welders that we don't have. If it has it, it'll just disassemble it. It will drag it in there and disassemble it. If it doesn't have it, it'll go red and say missing parts. The same can be said for assemblies, for assembling things. So stuff you can actually make is, say, a hydrogen bottle, and it'll make it. I can't make an elite welder or grinder because I have missing parts. Basically, I don't have any cobalt or any platinum. So I'll take that out, and I could make, say, an elite drill, an elite assault rifle. I could also cancel it halfway through its process of making, and it will refund all the resources needed. Excuse me. So one of the other things of the assembler for functionality is the disassembling, like I said earlier. You can either tell it to disassemble all of the grinders, and it will drag all of the grinders in, or you could disassemble something you've dragged in there yourself. So like my welder and my drill, I can left click on that and it will get rid of it. I can left click on the drill and it will get rid of it. Go back into that and you'll see they're all gone there. Same goes for parts that you're grinding down. So bulletproof glass, I can get rid of some of that. And if you look over on what bulletproof glass is going to give us, so bulletproof glass will give me 5 silicon in total for every 1 we break down. So if I look at the assembler at the moment, I look in its inventory, you'll see we have 122 silicon. Okay, so I'm going to go back to disassembly mode, and I'm going to break down one of those. So 122 should be 127. There we go, 127. So it does give back exactly what it cost to make, I believe. So let's see, it requires, in the middle there, if you look, it says it requires 5 silicon to make. There we go. Okay, so to explain this interface a little bit better, the parts you left click on this side are the parts you can build. The parts on the right are the stuff on the middle is what it's going to cost or what you'll get back, and also a stockpile of your stored material. Now bear in mind, it only quotes stored material from the assembler. So if it's stored in the assembler, you're good. If not, it'll guess a little bit from what you've previously used, but 90% of the time the quote will be wrong. So I know we don't have any magnesium, and I know we don't have any thruster components for platinum. We also don't have any gold for making thruster components. But I have broken down already medical components to make more, to show you. So if you look there, medical components require ingots, nickel and silver. So if I click on that, it will make 1. If I wanted them materials back, I can disassemble it. The same goes for pretty much everything else. When you're grinding stuff down, the only block that will not give you everything back from building it is a battery. And that is because the power cells inside, once charged, when you grind them down, they pretty much disintegrate. That's my thought on it anyway. And then they're no good once you break the seal. So it's good to have limitations, I think. Okay, so 2 things to ignore on this video. The octi-core and the xeno-core, because I accidentally left a mod in place called the tiered tools. Yeah, they are from that. So don't worry about too much about that. I won't be touching those. But if you wonder why it looks different. Okay, so we'll grab some thruster components and throw them in the assembler. There we go. And I'm going to break these down. Nope, that's assembling. So you can see there that it says ingots I've got, platinum I've got a little bit of, but I'm missing the cobalt and the gold. So let me break them down. and now it actually immediately made that. So if you look now, I can actually make, because I've got cobalt, I can make metal grids, I can make the silicon displays. Actually, I think I can make some of these before. Oh, there we go. The superconductors is something I couldn't make. Along with the thruster components. Obviously, I just made some, so it's because I broke some down. So when you're starting out in a ship, things on the back of your ship that you could take off would probably include, if you're on the yellow tub, this is a variation of the yellow tub. This is respawn ship 1 is what I'm talking about there, to be clear. Turn off all them names. Okay, so you could actually take down and grind down the ion thrusters, and that would give you some parts, or just one of them. That would give you some parts to grind down and give you some basic materials. If you wanted to keep your ship intact, that is a good way to, like, you know, just take a couple of thrusters off at the back. You only technically need 2. In fact, it will actually help you in a way, because the power for the ship actually overloads when you're using 4. So, okay, so let's see. I should have now enough materials to break down thruster components. And there we go. That's pretty much the basics of it. You can break stuff down, you can build stuff up. I will also touch on the fact that you can use these 2 menus here. Okay, now we've got some materials. I'll show you briefly what that is. So, small blocks, you can actually click on the block you want, and it'll queue the appropriate components up for that. So let me just clear out this box here. So there's nothing in it. Okay. So we go on the production menu, and I click on small blocks, and I'm going to say build a camera. And it's going to give me 2 steel plates and 3 computers. And if I look on my G menu, and I type in camera, you'll notice that for a big ship, it requires 1 steel plate, 2 steel plates, and 3 computers. But for a small ship, which is what we ordered, it pretty much requires exactly the same. So that's a good representation of for both, and that would allow us to make a camera on either small or large grid. If we go to the large grid, and we say we want to build a button panel, again, it's going to queue all of the things we need. It's going to tell us the raw materials we need in the middle, and it's going to queue up all the things we need to build said button panel. The same goes for pretty much everything else. And while that is a good feature, and please ignore the AZ seats, they are modded. While that is a good feature, it can also be quite annoying for a new player if they notice this and start to use this regularly, because as later on in gaming you start to use mods, you'll find that in actual fact you're better off ordering the components for, say, the conveyor tube, and just order up, you know, the interior plates, 20, construction components, 20, 8 motors, some tubes, and some steel plates, and that's pretty much done. Where if you're ordering them by block, this menu will get very, very clogged as you put more mods on. As you can see there, it's got the tiered drills that I mentioned earlier. Ignore the ore detector's orange text, it's just a boosted mod, it doesn't actually alter the recipe or anything. But even the grinders and welders there, you know, this menu is getting a little bit more full than what it would be via vanilla standards. Can't talk this morning. So just something to keep in mind when doing that. Okay. So I said I was also going to touch on... Oh, hang on, no O2. Technically, it doesn't really matter. I'm actually in vulnerability mode. Because when I first landed on this ship, it was vibrating like mad and going all over the place. Like I said, I've had some issues with SE over the last day. I need to redo my Windows, and I'm putting it off. Okay, so for part of this, I'm actually going to go in creative, because it'll be a hell of a lot quicker to show you. But for the other part of it, I'm going to show you in normal survival. So, for things like interior plates, for things like the conveyor junction, interior plates, construction, small steel tubes, motors, construction components again, and interior plates. Well, something you should know while building is that if something repeats, everything at the bottom is needed, up to the repeat. So we need everything up to the motors. We do not technically need the construction components and the interior plates that are at the top. And the reason being for that is because the line for functionality is going to be somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to use my easy inventory mod, which basically allows me to pick up these components quicker, so you don't have to see me rummaging through the menus. And when I place this down and weld it up, you'll notice that the functional line over on the right hand side is on the red. If I slowly touch that up, there you go, 72%, and that's gone. If I do that a little tiny bit more, it's probably not going to work for this welder, this grinder even. Let's see if we can make a better grinder. Wait, why are you disconnected? Well, I don't care. Go in there, Mr. Grinder. You're too fast. Something to note for the future. Grinders are really, really fast. The elite ones. I consider them too fast. Even on stock settings or normal settings, it doesn't really make any difference. They are quite fast. And you can end up doing more damage than good if you're trying to grind down something delicately. And believe it or not, there is actually a reason to grind something down slower. Besides, the tier 2s kind of match the colour. They made the third tier pink, so... Right. So if I weld this up, and I grind it down a little bit, you'll see that there I've taken out the construction components and the interior plates by just grinding off the top after welding it all the way up. And this block is still functional. It's still completely made, and things will still pass through it. I'm going to weld it back up for the sake of completion, and I'm going to build a small system just off of here. Of course, I've got no construction components. There we go. Right, that should be enough. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of people would think, okay, I want to be able to get to the refinery. And there's another port up there. I'll just bring the conveyor tubes off the top and run them all the way over. Well, while you can do this, you should note that pass-throughs on conveyors. So, if you look from the med bay, on the top of this med bay, there is actually a conveyor port. And it leads into this oxygen generator. All the way across, it passes through the cargo container. And it passes right away through to the assembler. So at the assembler, I can actually access the oxygen generator to put a bottle in my inventory. Gonna lie now. You watch. It's gonna make me look bad. Okay. Let me guess, this isn't the fixed version of the ship. Right, into creative mode I go for a minute, and you can watch me fix this live, so to speak. Nope, that should all be good. Okay, well, I don't know what's causing that then. But when it's working, which again, I did state that my Space Engineers has been messing up, so it could very well be an issue on my end. But for the most part, they are a pass-through. So if you've got everything set up correctly for the assembler, excuse me, I'm having a drink. It will be a pass-through for things that you're putting in other places if it's connected correctly, which I believe it is, because you can see the large cargo hatch underneath there, and this conveyor will be conveying things straight into it. So I really don't know what's going on with that. Let me try using a claim again. So let's see, claim all, nobody, me. Let's see if that works. Of course, it doesn't help the fact that I've actually got a full inventory, so let me just get rid of that. Let's see. Now let's try it. I think that might have been the problem, actually. Let's see. Yep, that was the problem. See, this is what happens. Even the people that have been playing for a long time can note, hey, I didn't have I've got a full inventory, and I'm trying to drag stuff in. Why ain't it working? It's not the first time. I don't suppose it'll be the last. But anyway, as you can see, the inventories are a pass-through all the way through to the oxygen generator. So with that in mind, you don't need to run pipes all the way across the top to get to here, which we're going to put a connector on for a ship. And I will state that this is a really ugly way of doing it. Ideally, we could actually do with coming off of underneath here and running the pipe under and bringing it up somewhere, so like here, and then putting a connector down, and then that way then it'll be a lot more tidier. But for the sake of completion and the sake of this video, we're not going to do that. So okay, so there we go. Right, so there's one lot of stuff, and you've seen me place these down. So let's see, memory serves. I can click this filter box up here that says show inventory, storage inventories, and it'll flick straight to anything with a storage inventory. I drag all that stuff out and I click the box that says hide empty. This will bring me to all of my building materials, at least in the small box anyway, and there's stuff in the large box there which was actually spawned in, but it's there nevertheless. So I need some interior plate. There we go, interior plate. I also need construction components. I know I need small steel tubes. I need some steel plate, and I need some motors. So let's see what's left after I finished welding these. So that's one done. Need more construction components for that. More construction for that. And more of everything for that, barring motors. So doing that, just what I did there, just grabbing 10 of each by holding control. So 10 computers, 10 interior plates. I can just go along and grab the components I want just by holding control and left clicking, and it gets a few components at a time, and that can really help instead of you trying to guess what's there. So let me just do that. That should be everything, I think. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, these little lights here are, or emissive strips, are red, and once I finish them, they go red, As you can see, the functional line on this is quite high. And now I've finished it. This this conveyor is now connected all the way through to this one. So this is green. It does not, however, connect to the refinery. These two are not connected. So don't be illusioned by that if you see it green and go, hey, why can't I pass stuff through? You still need to make a connection from here to here or run it underneath to make it viable. So the one thing I would recommend if you were putting stuff like this is don't forget to occasionally put a cargo box in. So for a cargo box, we're going to type in CAR. I'm going to drag the small cargo box for large ship. Well, just small cargo box. If I wanted the small ship version, it would be that one there, which is very, very small and not a lot of use, to be fair. Oh, it has some uses, but yeah. Left click to place it, and I can start welding it up. Now, there is some more trick. While you've got this in frame mode, you can actually access the cargo container, or the inventory behind it if you highlight it yellow. So, I'm going to grab some components out for what I actually need. So, displays, construction components, metal grids, and more construction components. Although, technically, like I said before, you don't actually need the last two of those. So, the construction components at the top, the 5, and the 10 interior plates. You don't actually technically need. These are surplus to requirements technically, but for the sake of its health, you may want to put those in. And for those that are slightly OCD with completing blocks, that's also a good thing. Anyway, let's go on with this. So I actually forgot the list I needed. So displays and metal grids. So I'm going to filter up here, show the empty ones. Or should I say don't show the empty ones? Grab some metal grids, some computers, some of those. I think it was displays. And I need more construction components, as usual. It's always construction components on motors I find I'm short on. There we go. And now, this is connected to here via the cargo ports on the side. And if you very specifically notice the difference, this is a dark yellow, or should I say, this is a yellow, and this is a dark background. So something to keep in mind when you're building, if you're trying to access, say this is a conveyor. It has no access. I'm pressing my F key. Bang, 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 bang. Nope, no access. But this has got a dark background on it. So this has access. So I can press F, I can access it. There are mods that allow you to access conveyors as an access point. However, not all of them work, and they tend to break quite a bit as soon as they alter stuff in the game. So if you're playing just vanilla, just notice the difference. Conveyor has no access. Assembly, cargo box, reactor has access. Good way to tell which one's an active block and which one's a not active block. Note that active blocks also turn up in your control panel. So things like the lights and stuff here. These will turn up in your control panel. And I can alter all the settings here. We're not going to go into that too much today. So we have ourselves the conveyor stuff going through here, and I want to put up here a connector. And all I need for this is some steel plates, a lot of them, and some steel tubes, small ones. So there we go. Got those. And there it is welded. Now, whenever you're welding a connector up, my advice to you is the first thing you do, access it, go into its control panel, scroll down, and control click on the strength, and type 0.5. because its default value, these things tend to pull in ships and break them. Yes, people, clang is real. And if you don't know what clang is, my advice would be, well, look him up on the forums. He is a real thing, and he will eat your projects. Think of him as the Lord and Clanger master of everything that goes wrong in Space Engineers. So, with that built, I am now going to enter creative mode just for a moment to pop in a ship and show you quickly how efficient a miner can be for the purpose of emptying ships, and the reason why you have a conveyor with a connector on it. And then that's going to be the end of this one, since we're currently run over 30 minutes. Yay. Okay, so I've got that. Alright. There we go. Should have everything I need on there. Alright, this is definitely one I prepared earlier. It does use the tiered drills. And this is a very, very old mining ship that me and a friend created while he was learning the game. So don't judge me too harshly on my very poor design, as it wasn't all me. Alright. Okay. I definitely think I need to turn up the gyros there. So this ship should already have a bunch of ore in it. And as you can see, it connects from the back here. So let's see, what ore have you got in there for me, ship? So it's got lots of iron. It has some platinum. I believe that's it. Yep, iron and platinum. So let me just turn off of creative actually. It's just done to pop this ship in. The menu I keep using to disable and enable creative is Alt F10. You can only do it if you're administrator on a server or the host. I like to use creative for designing, and then switch back to survival and blueprint stuff and build it. And we'll touch on blueprints in the next video, which will be made very, very soon. So as soon as I connected this and all the ore had a place to go, it was going to take it out of here, and as you can see, it's slowly draining it, and it's going to put that inside our ship and our refinery. And since there's actually an arc furnace on this as well, we're doing good. So let me just throw that through there. Go and look for any stuff here that's left. I just drag that in there, and it says mining cargo, but it's also orange, representing the fact that this is a connected ship. So again, let me just drag this in. There we go. I think that's all pretty much empty. Yep. So now when I disconnect the ship, the connectors will go blue, and then they'll be yellow, and it'll pull back in ship if it was strong enough. These should be refining. And we won't know directly until I access a cargo container of some kind and go into the refinery. So I can access this cargo container, I can click the cog up the top, or I can just type in REF for refinery, and as you can see, it's slowly digging through the platinum. Now you can drag stuff around to water the Q position. You can do the same thing in the assembler. Iron's going to melt a lot faster, and platinum's going to be longer. But like I mentioned, we do have something called an arc furnace. Now to touch on this real quick, arc furnaces only do, the only ore you can put into them is iron, nickel and cobalt. They're literally just there for them three things. And they go through it incredibly fast. So if I was to just pull the refinery and not add anything else, see, I can't drag this platinum in there, it doesn't work. If I was to put the I was to put 14k in there, and I was to put that in there, you can see that these things pretty much go through quite quickly. If you look at the speed of them, they're pretty much going at the same rate as stock. The arc furnace being slightly quicker. But we're going to leave that doing platinum for now. And I think that's just about all we got time for. I mean, I've covered most of the conveyor system and the refining, assembling. So I think that's good. I will be back and show you guys how to use projectors in a good way. So in the meantime, thanks for watching, and feel free to hit that like button if you thought this was helpful. And subscribe if you want to see more of the same content, helpful tutorials, and hopefully once the EEM is fixed, I will be continuing my Season 0 EEM playthrough. I have found a way to fix the world, so I'm literally just waiting on mod fixes. As soon as that happens, it will start again. Or from where we left off, actually. So, alright, time to go. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Have a good day.